tell me about your vision.
Hey, nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me. So my vision in terms of CFO Pro Plus Analytics was to be able to bring very high quality CFO services to emerging businesses that might otherwise not really have access to the types of tools and techniques and capabilities that we're able to deliver. And really, our capabilities derive from my own personal origins in private equity and growth equity investing, as well as being a professional CFO. And through that experience, I've been able to really distill delivering high quality CFO services using a few key principles. And the whole objective and the vision is that we can take these key principles and we can turn them into a repeatable service that adds a lot of value to all kinds of emerging businesses. Typically, we're servicing companies between $3 and $100 million of revenue. And depending on the size and scale and where they are in their development, certain aspects of the approach that we take are more important at different phases of a business's evolution. But what we do is create a customized solution for them that fits their needs exactly. And the three things that we focus on as the main guiding principles are equity value creation for the owners of the businesses that we serve. All decisions are being made with the thought of how does this add more value to the shareholders of the business. The second is a single source of truth. We try to streamline all the data flows and information so that the executives of these businesses are able to make decisions on information that they know how it's generated, and they can all agree that this is the true information that we should be using to make decisions. And the third piece is due diligence readiness, which means that we're always building our financial operation functions in a way that gives the founders and owner operators of these businesses the ability to talk to any third party at any point in time and be able to provide really good information about their business and kind of where they're headed.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to take a step back on this approach. A lot of times, at least with my beliefs that the things I've been learning and things I've been growing, I would really love Simon Sinek's talk about figuring out the why before the how and the what, right? And we take it a step further. We do it figuring out the who before the why. Um, so for you, Sal, like what would you say as who you are and why you got started doing this, the fractional CFO, and got into this industry with your own. Um, I'm guessing you have some kind of a background in this when you do these things. So why did you start doing these kind of services to people? What gap did you see?
The gap that I saw was that emerging businesses, and I happen to have, because I came out of the venture capital and growth equity investing world, I have a lot of relationships and people that I know that are involved in emerging companies. These are companies that are growing from like zero revenues to call it 100 million. And I saw that there's a value proposition in terms of financial operations and financial strategy, where the businesses often view that as a cost center and not as a strategic opportunity to spend money to grow their businesses more quickly and efficiently. But that's because they're always thinking about it in terms of hiring a full team. And obviously taking on all that overhead is very expensive. The opening that I saw and why this is important in the market is that the services that we deliver can be really packaged into a permanent part-time service that are very, very affordable at smaller sizes of revenue. Businesses that are doing 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20, $30 million of revenue. There's a way to package this strategic financial uh, service as well as the financial operations service in a way that's affordable for them, and that's why uh, it's been created by my company.
What would you say that then how did you get started on this path? Like, did you have a corporate job before this and then you went into entrepreneurship, or were
Yeah,
you, is that
I was
like, how
I
did you
was a
get started on this
CFO. I
path?
was as a private equity, growth equity, venture capital investor for about 15 years, and I learned a lot about what it takes to make emerging businesses grow and succeed. Then after that, I became a CFO of an operating business that grew very quickly for about 9 years. I was there. And so I packaged together this investing knowledge and discipline and working with young, high growth companies with the actual hands on training that I basically went through myself as a first time CFO for 9 years very successfully. I I had all this know-how and knowledge that could be easily translated into a package service for a, the types of companies that I had been working with for a couple of decades. These are founder, family-owned, venture capital-backed companies trying to grow quickly and stumbling over the challenge of how do I invest in a finance function that's going to help me grow my business as efficiently as possible. And they stumble over that fact for what I said earlier is that they often view it as like this, I need a team to do this, I need a bunch of full-time people to do this. And what I realized from my background in getting started in all this is really that it can be packaged into a permanent part-time solution that's very customized to the situation that the company is going through and also evolves with them over time.
Um, Thank you for sharing that. When you say that entrepreneurs are stuck in this mindset, um, that they think they need a team to do this, I am a firm believer that a team helps you um, skip a lot of years of learning in your business journey. It helps you skip a lot of time that you would have given as a solopreneur.
Sure.
But clearly, your threshold goes beyond that, going from 1 to 3 million over to $100 million worth in revenue. Um, Usually, it's hard to get there without as being a solopreneur. I would say like you probably need a team of at least a few people to cross that threshold in revenue. So when you say that you don't need a team, what do you exactly mean by that? I would love to hear your
Yeah,
thoughts on
that's
that.
a great question. Yeah. So you always need a great team and a cohesive corporate culture to grow your business. What I am saying when I'm saying you don't need to think about hiring a full-time team in finance is what I'm saying to the entrepreneur is focus in on hiring the team that is driving your business. Don't be confused that finance has to be a full team also as part of that journey, because you can actually take advantage of a fractional CFO service like ours much earlier on in your development. And it's going to enable you to do all of the other necessary team building that you need to do. So when I speak about not needing a full team, I'm speaking specifically about thinking, wow, I need a CFO. The CFO needs to work with a controller. The controller needs to work with a bookkeeper. When we package it together, we deliver all those layers in at one price on a permanent part-time basis. And we effectively become part of your team, but we're not there
Yeah.
full time. But because we have so much expertise in how to deliver the service, you feel all the capabilities of it in your business without having to see us every day of the week. And
Now I
that
see.
gives you a huge amount of operating leverage in your business, because now instead of spending, you know, thinking you need to spend four, five, six, $700,000 a year on a finance department, you could be spending 120, 150, maybe even upwards of 200,000, depending on the scope and the size of your business. So for, you know, 40% of the cost that you thought you were going to expect, 30, 40% of the cost of what you thought you were going to spend, you get the full service. What I joke around with my clients sometimes is like, we deliver all the meat without the fat, right?
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And
Or
now I see
another
the vision.
another another yeah, another thing that I say to them also is like, you get all of the capability without the overhead and the water cooler time.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, no bathroom breaks.
Right. Yeah, we're there. We're like a paratrooper team. We're in there and we're delivering high grade services that fit with your culture. You feel us as part of your team, but you don't need us there. You don't need three people there 40 hours a week to get it done.
Yeah, yeah. You're on point on what you just mentioned, because if you think about, let's say, a $1 million company at least, they are thinking about bookkeeping, they're thinking about taxes, they're thinking about investments, they're thinking about um, allocation of resources, they're also thinking about what they need to do with the money that's getting wasted. They want to see like where the money is going in and out. And I think a CFO alone costs a lot of money a year, let alone a whole team to go through all this that you need. Most businesses, small businesses that don't make it anyway, they hire a bookkeeper maybe, and then a tax guy at the end of the year to figure it out.
Right.
And yeah, and there's a different level of things that you're talking about. I think the people that could understand that,
100%.
that'd be very, yeah, that would be very beneficial for them to see what he just mentioned here. Sal shared a
Yeah.
very, very
The bookkeeper is like a base level service. And I'll be honest with you, when you are thinking about really growing your business and transforming it into something great, entrepreneurs fall into the trap of confusing accounting with finance. And what I often say is that, good finance people are pretty adept at accounting, but it's very hard to find good accounting people who are very adept at finance, because finance is so forward looking, and it's really about the strategy and what you're going to do next. And um, you know the entrepreneurs confuse sometimes bookkeeping and accounting with finance. It's not really the same thing. um, but also what I would mention is that, just in my own experience running this business, 9 out of 10 companies that we get involved in have serious issues in their bookkeeping function when we get involved. When you start thinking about building a forecast and having a set of books that are aligned categorically with how you're going to project the business and where you're going to invest your money, there's usually an incredible amount of messiness in there. And in a very sort of normal case, there's usually a good, you know 30 to 60 days of rework in the books in order to be able to really leverage the historical information into forward-looking projections.
yeah, for most people, the the financial data is is not as valuable as it could be within 5 to 10 years. Like even if their company was going for, let's say, if it was exact same results, but their company was more 5 to 10 years down the road, that data would carry more leverage than it would, um, than any other company before that part, because most times those numbers are bogus anyway.
Yeah, it also depends on how quickly you're growing. And
Yes.
by the way, you could even be growing at a modest pace, and then hit a 5-year mark, and now all of a sudden you do need a finance function, and you've got very messy information for the last 5 years. That doesn't really help you at that point in time. That actually makes the process more difficult. And so, what I always advocate is that if you are serious about growing your business, you really do need to think about the quality of your data and how it's being handled from a financial standpoint, um, because that is actually going to become a very important asset for you as you grow. You're going to make better decisions. You're going to make faster decisions. You're going to sleep better at night. You are going to also be able to talk about your business more intelligently and credibly with outsiders, which is a key aspect of being a successful entrepreneur, is being able to tell a story about your business and knowing what you're saying is actually backed by really good, solid
That,
financial and operational data.
yep.
So it's
Um,
never too soon, in my opinion, but
I think you're absolutely right. Most businesses, they're not focusing on uh, creating resources, templates, and procedures that backs up their departments, and
yeah.
that goes to all departments. And for your cases in a CFO department, the financial department,
Yeah, we get
it's
involved
very
in a lot of
important.
other stuff too, but yeah, it is
Yeah.
mainly in finance. But what I would say also to your audience is, when we come in, we are not coming in with an attitude of, hey, this is the template and we have to fit it into your business. That would be a huge mistake. What we say is, we have these three principles that we're trying to guide you to, right? Single source of truth, due diligence, readiness, and equity value creation. And we are going to come up with a solution that fits as painlessly as possible in your business. And by the way, if there's anything that's going to be particularly time consuming and painful, we're going to let you know right away. And then we can discuss whether we even want to do it. An important aspect of how we execute is this concept of quick wins, right?
Mhm.
When we build out our infrastructure and our templates, we put them in place the same way software developers version software. We say version 0 is going to look like this, and then in 90 days we're going to be at version 1, and then we're going to be at version 2. And the reason that we do it that way is that we don't want to walk into a client and say it's going to be 6 months before you see any results from what we're doing, right? We know so much about how to execute this, that we can start delivering things relatively quickly that provide value to the clients. And so we can start instituting procedures, operational processes that they can start leveraging pretty soon in the process. It's not some giant project that you don't know when the end is going to be. We don't operate that way.
And I don't think anyone should. Um, I come from the marketing world, and a lot of times where when uh, marketers, they're trying to uh, show businesses, hey, you don't know what you're talking about. They'll give you numbers. Hey, what's your uh, ROAS, or your what's your ad spend last time? What's your return on investment? They put some weird numbers in there, like I can't even remember those terms, that they make you think you don't know what you're talking about, without even
Right.
getting to know the business itself in the first place. Where what does the business want? Do they have goals? Do they have core values? Do what's their currently revenue at? Are they trying to go to a certain point? If they are, then are they willing to do the work that's necessary to grow to that point? Even if you grow them with leads, are they able to handle those leads? Can they successfully have a great experience with the client for all the clients that you bring in? Can they close the leads that you give them? And can they fulfill on those are the questions most marketing teams don't ask. And that's when they project their vision onto yours, and that's not what you want. And I think you're on the right path when you say that we want to, instead of giving you a custom, instead of giving you a solution that's fit for everyone, even though the principle might work for everyone, It's important to get to know a business more before you come up with a system and solution, because most cases it's not the same case scenario, even though you're building towards the
I
same
would say
expectations.
every case is different, and
Yeah,
the principles don't change because those
exactly.
work. You know, I've proven it in my career that those three things are transformative when they're executed correctly. Right? I'll just
Right.
say them again. It's single source of truth, due diligence, readiness, and equity value creation.
Yep.
But in order to implement them for, say, a franchisor who owns, three Chick-fil-A's,
Hmm.
or to implement them for a digital marketing agency that has, you know, operates its business with 20 subcontractors, in India, and sells all its business in the United States. They both want to do the same thing, right? They both want to grow and they both want to make higher profits. But
Hmm.
so they fit into my three principles, but the way I would handle them is totally different.
Thank you for being here today. I'm really happy that you tuned in to Vision Pros Live. I'm looking forward to seeing your reactions as these episodes continue to move forward. This is going to get more and more fun. We'll have more and more engagement as well. We'll invite people to participate in the show. And thank you for giving us your time and attention. Have an excellent time building out your vision and becoming a Vision Pro yourself.